Welcome to BIA, Canada's top black media provider. Whether you're looking for shows on fashion, art, music, or simple lifestyle, we bring you the best content the black community in Canada has to offer and so much more. And better yet, do you have an idea for a project you'd like us to help you with? We provide equipment, studio, and office space, as well as a team of dedicated individuals to help you bring those ideas to life. So don't wait. Check out our new website at biamedia.ca for more information on how to contact us and start creating today. BIA Media, your way.
Hello, and welcome to Getting Real with Paula. My name is Paula Alphonse, and tonight I am speaking with Ana González Ferran, founding partner of APNEA, an association of parents and special need children in Alicante, Spain. Our mission is to help women develop their full potential and become the best role model for their children. As a mother of a special need child herself, Ana has had to juggle the daily demands for attention, both at work and at home. And she wants to help you balance your family, your personal and professional life in an easy, safe, confident way by managing your stress more efficiently. It all seems simple, doesn't it? So here is Anna to the rescue as we all can learn a little something more about managing the stress in our lives. Welcome, Anna. So happy to have you here on Getting Real with Paula.
Hello, Paula. So happy to be here with you and all your audience.
Thank you. What I'll ask you to do first, if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about you and why this topic is so close to your heart?
Okay, first of all, I'm going to talk about my titles and what I do. I'm the vice director of the School of Arts and College of Design in Alicante. I'm a full-time educator, I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. But this topic is so dear to my heart because I've lived it in my first person, because I've been there. I overcame a very difficult situation many years ago. And after having dealt with stress and having had an immune disorder, a stress syndrome, a post-traumatic stress syndrome, I decided that I wouldn't go back again there. And I don't want other people to go through it. And I think there are other ways to be able to cope with that. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is to become aware of the problem, because sometimes, what happened to me, I wasn't aware that I was stressed until I burnt out. So
And thank you for sharing. And I guess we connect on that one because I also had a burnout quite a few years ago, and it took me by surprise because in my
yeah,
mind I was doing things well. I was efficient, organized, and
yeah,
But what you didn't realize is you were stretching yourself
yeah,
to the extremities, and then after a while, that elastic just broke.
yeah.
So, can you give us some context around what was happening in your life at the time you started experiencing that higher level of stress?
Okay. Well, my close relationship with stress started like 25 years ago when my youngest son was born with the cerebral palsy. And, as a young mom of a 2-year-old child, I just had to become like super mom. It's like, oh, I had to do everything because I had to fix him. It's like, this cannot
Mhm,
happen to me. This can happen to everybody else, but not to me.
mhm.
And by that time, we didn't have internet. There weren't, we didn't have as much information. So I became like a searcher, and I became like a super mom, and doing anything I could to fix him. I
Mhm.
even found an association for handicapped children, and but the thing is, I was doing the best I could to fix him, but I was putting my first second. I mean, I wasn't paying attention to me.
Mhm.
So I wasn't watching the signals, my
Yeah.
anxiety, my sleep problems, and, even like other, even the changes of mood. I didn't realize that
Mhm.
until about after 6 years. When he was 6, he was already doing very well. Then I realized his dad wasn't helping, and
Mm.
and I, I wanted a divorce. So,
I'm
which,
laughing because it's not funny, but it's just the sense where at one
yeah,
point, as you're looking at all of this taking
yeah,
place, it's just, you said 6 years.
yeah,
It just took me that long to realize,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
am I in this all by myself? Am
yeah,
I running myself crazy?
yeah.
Where's the help out there? Who are the people who can support me?
That's it. I must admit to you that you're the boundary guru. Is that I wasn't good at putting setting boundaries at all. I wasn't good. I was like taking everything because I'm a very energetic person. I'm very, active, and so I just doing everything, and I was exhausted. And then I started, having, like issues with sleep. I started not sleeping, but I thought with 4 hours was fine until, yeah, I was, until I had none. And then after like 5 days in a row with no sleeping, zero sleeping, I
Oof.
was put in a, like in a psychiatry ward. And because I lost my sanity, I mean, I just couldn't,
Function.
it was
Mm.
amazing. But I wasn't realizing that. I mean, I wasn't aware of that. I was just running, rushing, and I wanted to fix everything. And I
Mhm.
think I was a control freak by then. Maybe I am a little bit now, but not so much. I'm a recovery.
And I have to be honest with you, technically, the way you were handling the situation and the fact that you've mentioned that your spouse wasn't helping that much, sometimes as strong-willed women, we
Mhm.
leave very little room for other people to step in
Yeah.
because we start everything ourselves. You need something, you go get it. You want
Mhm.
information, you figure it out. And sometimes, not to say that the other people can't help, but we sometimes completely forget to even ask for assistance. Could you do this? Or if you ask for assistance, if it's not done on your
Yeah.
timeline, it's just, okay, let it go. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, that's one of the tips I'm going to leave later. To give
Yes,
later.
sorry about that. Let's keep going. Uh, what can you give us an example of some of those things that made you react? How did you figure out your triggers?
Ending up in a psychiatric ward was something really, really hard for me, because I was very, I was like very a secure person, a very mentally fit person, and then suddenly I was broken, and but that was hard enough. But then having to prove that I wasn't crazy to get the custody of my 2 children, that was like something I said, no, 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 no. That was very, very hard. And I had to go through like, then later, almost 6 years of legal
battle.
And so, but when the first time I had to, go to court and then say, I'm not crazy. I mean, I was just tired. I'm a human, and I just need help. And I was really, at that time, I was really, I don't know, apart from miserable, I was like, okay, if you were ill, I mean, if you had cancer, everybody would feel sorry for you. But then since you went nuts, but because of your health, then everybody is afraid of you.
And it's unfortunate is the discomfort, the society's discomfort with mental distress. And usually when there's challenges, at least back then, because nowadays we're a lot better with awareness and things like that. But back in those days, it's like you in or you out. So if you slipped, you're in the out crowd. We're not touching you. We don't know how bad she can go. And that's a challenge, because technically, as you say, a lot of moms, moms, they have to figure out how to manage their reality. It's hard enough having a kid, but having 2 kids with one with special needs and still having to provide, support to both and the rest of your life. It's a lot.
Yeah, that was, but. Nowadays, I feel blessed and I feel thankful for all the situations, because I've learned so much. And I don't know, I guess I learned how to, they are both doing very well. My oldest son is an entrepreneur, and my youngest son is the president of our Toastmaster club in Alicante. So he's doing great. And they are both beautiful children from inside outside, and they consider me a role model for them, which I'm very happy. And my oldest son considers, like, he used to introduce me as his part-time mother and full-time coach, which is something, the first time I listened to him, it was like, what, I'm not a mom, but I guess I'm not the typical mom. I'm not the doormat mom. Everybody expected me to be, and that's something I'm very grateful. I'm not that.
To me, I hear it and it's a compliment, because I hear it as a compliment, because sometimes we take mothers for granted. But what he did in telling you you're a part-time mom and a full-time coach is that I see what you do every day. Because as a full-time coach, I see the growth, the personal growth that you're getting us through. And he might not have known all of those elements as he was using it as a child, but as an adult, because that's your role as a coach, is actually stretch people outside of their comfort zone and allow them to become that best person. So it's those little things sometimes when you realize you don't think they notice, but your kids might know things about you, and you're like, oh my God. So you might not have been the typical mom, because maybe back then the moms were stay at home, taking care of their kids, cooking and cleaning, and that's it. You were in your pool with your son, trying to teach him how to function and be more flexible with his cerebral palsy in water. It's work. It's hard work, because you were doing somebody else's. Now they pay people to do that job.
So, I became a full-time therapist for my child, and that's stuff. But that's a lot of a big learning. I mean, that's something.
It's huge. And for me, it also gives credibility to your message, because you didn't just sit and let things happen to you. You actually took things in your hands. And, sometimes we take a little more than we can chew. And
Yeah.
until something happens, we might not realize that.
Yeah, and I'm happy also because he used to say, like, Mom, you are an example of leading by example, which is something I'm happy. I mean, I didn't think I would get, you know, many rewards from my children so soon, because you get them when they have children, but not when they are still. Well, that was when they were still teenagers. So I'm
That's a
happy.
testimony for everything that you, everything that you are, and everything that you've managed to transfer to them as well.
Yeah.
Can you give us some things you tried to get a handle on your stress level?
Well, I tried everything because I started doing Iyengar yoga, well, many years ago, even when that was my first attempt of, you know, looking after myself, and then meditation. But it wasn't until I decided to look after myself with the same dedication and the same way I had done with Pablo, that things didn't start to change. And then I did a master in psychological intervention, and an LP practitioner, and hypnosis. I've done many things, but
I'm just gonna have to send you back to what you said, and to me, that's the precious. When you said it wasn't until I put as much attention in taking care of myself as I did in taking care of my son, that things change, because that's one of our biggest challenge as women. We are caretakers. We are nurturers. We are taking care of others. And in the process, who do we forget? Let me think. Thank you for that.
True. So true. You have to, I mean, I have this image of putting the oxygen mask in planes first. And when I work with women, I ask them, like, if you're on a plane and then they ask you to put the oxygen mask when traveling with a baby, what do you do? And I still find many women saying, to the baby. And then I start doing like the baby, and I say, if I go like that and then you're dead, what would
what advantage is that the child getting?
Yeah. So if breathe first, and then you have the energy to share
and take care of others.
Yeah, that's.
So what would be some practical tips and tools you would recommend to other women or other moms?
Okay, the first thing is to, like, reframe the word stress. Okay, Paula, do you have a pen?
I always have a pen. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask the audience to take a pen as if they were going to write. Okay. And now I want you to, like, hold it very tight, very, very, very tight. You know, very like, how long do you think you would be able to write, you know, this way, holding it so tight?
I can't.
No way, because it's like, it hurts.
It's uncomfortable. It hurts. Okay. And then it's this part where even when you're trying to write, your hand is not steady.
Yeah, it's not working. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to relax. Now relax.
Yes.
And will you be able to write that relax? In that relax? No, because no pen.
Yeah.
No pen in your hand. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to just hold a pen. Okay, and then become aware of the pressure you need to put to be able to write for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's life. Okay, life has some pressures, and we are there with, you know, we need to adapt. And the more pressure we have, the more pressures we have, like, the more flexible is, like in skin, I don't know in Canada, but you know, skin loves, you have to be flexible. Okay, the more bumpy, the more flexible. So if it's in a very, like, light slope, then you can do whatever. Then even you can remain, like, more stiff. Okay, but remember that if you are adding more pressure to your life, remember my tip number one is to breathe. Okay, my tip number one is breathing, conscious breathing, and belly breathing. that's the, I recommend, like, to my students, I teach coaching to improve academic performance in my university. And the first thing I teach them is meditation and breathing. That's the first thing, because meditation is also good for learning. I mean, it's not only good for your health, but it's also good for your creativity, for your learning, for everything. And one of the things, like, typically my homework would be like, do it twice, 1 minute. You don't have to do like half an hour. You don't have to go to a cave with incense and start meditating. It's not like that. You just have to put like a tone, like your phone or something like that, or even I don't know. I have this Pomodoro. Like I have this timer.
Okay.
For 1 minute, and 1 minute twice or 3 times a day. Start breathing with like belly breathing and in and out, and just try to be in the moment. Just try to be in the moment and do
writing this down.
Yeah, and especially if before talking to your children, before a difficult conversation, or when you're feeling stressed, instead of letting yourself go, like go, just, relax and breathe, and these too shall pass.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something, and the more you do it, the better it gets. It's not something that, and you feel healthier, you feel happier, and this is something we can because we cannot do anything about our heart, or we cannot say our stomach to work, or we cannot say our eyes to see, but we can control our breathing. That's the only body function we can control.
Okay.
And instead of doing like this shallow breathing, stress breathing,
yes,
which just gives you more stress,
yes,
then it's
belly breathing.
Belly breathing. In fact, this is one of the techniques I learned with my son. With handicapped children, they tend to be, to have difficulties in breathing, and it's very difficult to tell a child feel your belly, because they don't understand. So what we did, it was kind of cruel at the beginning, I thought, but it was a blessing. We just drown it in water. And then they close the glottis, because that's
natural reaction.
That's natural. And then when they come up, they go like that, and they learn how to breathe by diving, and that's why our association is called APNEA, because it used the diving to teach children how to breathe. So that's something very dear to my heart, deep breathing. Whatever you do is because that's when you stop, like Paula, if there are 2 cars, imagine 2 cars in a highway. Now one is at 120 or 40 kilometers or miles per hour. Of course, in Germany, because they don't have, the speed limit, you're not going to get fined. And then there's another one, 100 kilometers or miles per hour. Which one do you think will find it easy to find the way out or find directions? The first one at 140 or the other one at 100?
The 100.
The 100. So that
I can pay attention.
Yeah, you can pay attention. So when you are relaxed, when you're stressed, your actions are not going to be good. You're going to be reactive. And if you're reactive, you're going to have problems. So what you need is to calm down. And then from there, then you can address whatever you need to address. And you become more creative. Then you find solutions to problems that is out of the air, but only if you are relaxed. That's one of the things.
Under stress, all you see is the problem.
Yeah, because
it's a tunnel vision. Yes.
Yeah, tunnel vision. This is what happens.
Yeah.
So if you want to open your mind, then open your lungs. your lungs.
Yeah, and what it does technically is that it sends more oxygen to your brain.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. So that would be number 1, breathing. Okay, number two. Okay, let me, because I don't want to. Oh, there's one thing, one important thing we were talking about that earlier is like the circle of influence from Stephen Covey and the circle of concern.
Yes.
Because especially when we have children, and as you were, they are not going to do the things the way you do them. There's no way. So the thing is, you need to worry about what you need to take to focus on the things you can change. That's your attitude, that's your thoughts, that's your feelings, your breathing, your actions. But you cannot do that with anybody else. You cannot, control the weather, control your, make your children to change, or your spouse, or your colleagues at work, or you cannot do that. So
be mindful of what you actually have influence over. So that's what you want to pay attention to.
Yeah, and that is very small. I mean, that circle is really small. It's something like that. Whereas the circle of influence is huge. The circle of worry,
concern,
of concern is huge. So that leaves you a lot of time to be able to relax and to be able to, take care of yourself. Because that's the only person you can change. It's the only
thing you have control of is yourself. Control and influence of.
And the third thing I would recommend is delegate to empower. Delegate to empower. When I learned that, because at the beginning I was, oh, poor him, or poor, no. A wonderful way to build your children's self-esteem is to help them do things and learn. So it's just like I would one day when I got divorced, everything was very difficult at the beginning. But then I told them, okay, children, Andres and Pablo, here are all the things that need to be done at home. It's like paying the bills, paying the rent, paying the blah, 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 and shopping and blah, 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 and taking care of the different rooms. And then say, okay, let's do an assembly, and then let's share. In the end, they took more things
out of that list.
Of the list, because at the beginning they didn't want to do anything. Oh, take the trash out. No. Everything was a no. And at the end I said, okay, let's take a list of all the things and then you choose. So they ended up choosing like tidying their rooms and, laying the table and clearing the table and, helping with small things, doing some small shopping. And it was wonderful. And I could see that it was a way for them to learn to look after themselves, because our parents, we need to put them roots, but then give them wings. So one way is like helping them to fly. And sometimes you have to give a little kick to them. I had to. So because some they are very comfortable there. They're I'm here. And
that's why the bird's mother push their babies off that little net. It's just okay. Now it's time for you to fly. Push.
Yeah. And then
at first it's just because you trust that their normal instinct will come in, and then they will do better.
And that was very difficult for me, because as you were saying at the beginning, you are when you are very active and you can do anything, having not to do things for me was tough. I have to tell you, I'm hyperactive. So learning to keep still or not paying attention to those details and just letting them do, it was kind of hard, but it was worth it.
It was,
because it was when I learned like delegate to empower. It's not delegate because I don't want to do it. It's delegate because you're giving the power to them. You're teaching them how to become independent, how to look after themselves. And that's really,
that's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
It is huge because sometimes and different culture go about it different ways.
Yeah,
But I find that as a society, because we're working, a lot of the parents are working
yeah,
outside of the home. We started doing so much for them that the
yeah,
children get to a certain age, and the basics that we used to
yeah,
know from being younger, they're still trying to capture. So the delegate to empower is actually, as you said, setting them for their future in
yeah,
an easier way. So it's just like, it's not when they become 18 that all of a sudden they're adults
yeah.
and they have to know everything. You
No.
slowly put in things for them to stretch and become stronger. I love it.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. I had a wonderful pediatrician when they were young, and when Andres, when my oldest son was 5, my pediatrician told me, like, now the health issues of Andy are not important. Now the most important thing is his self-esteem.
Mhm,
Like 24 years ago, self-esteem. I hadn't heard about self-esteem,
mhm.
and then I said, oh, and then he asked me to, like, he has to cooperate in the house, he has to start doing little things. So that was very good because he started, like, going to get the newspaper or doing some shopping, doing some small things, and then his brother followed. so so that
So
was
it's like
very,
two for the price of one.
yeah,
There are
yeah,
things, it goes back to the comments your son had made about
yeah,
part-time mother,
yeah.
because certain things they would see other parents do.
Yeah,
To them, that's what was the expected, but you
yeah,
actually equip them a lot
yeah,
earlier and a lot more effectively.
yeah.
So in their journey was made easier for that.
Yeah, I'm sure, and they are happy. I mean, I didn't. It wasn't easy because
No.
sometimes, especially when they were young kids, I was like, oh, they're not going to love me. They're not going to want me because I'm a bad mom.
Mhm.
I was, so
And
I wasn't there.
our biggest problem, I would say, a lot as women is and as mothers, just not just as women, but as mothers, is we have to understand there's a time for everything.
Yeah,
So discipline doesn't mean I'm not
yeah,
loving the child. I'm not
yeah,
supposed to be your best friend. I'm
yeah.
supposed
No,
to be
no,
your
no.
guide.
Yeah,
And
that's,
then if I do this well, we will be best friends because they will
yeah,
see the value. So that's why he was so proud of introducing you
yeah,
as part-time mom, but full-time coach, because they could see how you were moving them forward.
yeah.
I'm
And they
going
even,
go
yeah,
ahead.
they even traveling with me. Like, they some young children or some young adults don't like traveling with their parents, but they love traveling with me because they know I'm very independent, so we can, we respect each other, so that's something. But we are not friends, we are mother and
And that's it. And
yeah,
we might like interacting with one
yeah,
another, but we never become my best pal. So,
yeah.
and that's the role we have to remember
Yeah,
as well. Can
yeah.
I ask you, what is the hardest lesson you have learned through this stress management journey?
The hardest is to look after myself.
Mm,
Because I think most of, especially with women, are afraid of looking after ourselves because we are be considered selfish.
I knew that one
And
was gonna come. Yeah.
yeah, and that's one of the things I still struggle sometimes because when I put myself first, I was like, society around is like, oh, you are being selfish, but no,
No,
you're
it's
being,
self-survival.
yeah, yeah, you're being like, I don't know, mature, and you're looking. I mean, it
You're
doesn't mean you're not going to
responsible
look
for yourself.
responsible. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Paula. It doesn't mean you're not going to look after other people if you have to, or if there is.
Mhm.
But the idea is to look after yourself first and put your oxygen mask first,
Mhm.
and then you will have energy for everybody.
Everything else. Yeah.
Because I realize now that I have more energy than 20 years ago, for
Mhm,
example.
mhm.
I feel healthier, I feel happier, and I feel much better than some years ago because I learned how to look after myself. That's one recommendation I would leave the audience with this. If put your oxygen mask first, and then the rest will follow.
Yeah. And to me, that's one of the best example about the oxygen mask, because you can give people all kinds of options how to what to do and what would be alternative to consider. But in the end, it's
Mhm.
recognizing that if I don't put the oxygen
Yeah.
first, I'm no longer there. So I'm
Yes.
leaving them to
Yeah.
figure out or fend for themselves,
Yeah.
not what you want.
Yeah.
So it's this part where sometimes as women, we need that strong visual.
Yeah.
So with the traveling taking place nowadays everywhere, we
Yeah.
all understand what it means. Because when we say pour from an empty cup, I just have to add water.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you have no energy, you might not even get to that kettle. So
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
the part. It's small little things, and
Yeah.
as women, those are the things we need to share more with
Yeah.
other women, especially first time moms,
Yeah.
because you really don't know what you're into until they put that baby in your arm.
Yeah, and
Because
especially nowadays that babies are like, I don't know, so special. There's the um it's the one thing in the house, the most important thing in the house. And I think it's not good, not for the baby, nor for the parents, because the baby is a baby. It's
yeah,
just
and
one other
it's this part.
member of the family.
You want to you when you're making them the only priority, the
Yeah,
main focus, you're teaching them that's what life will be for the rest of their journey.
yeah,
People love you when you're a baby, but if you keep that behavior when you're an adult, if you're asking people to change your diapers, clean up after yourself, feed me, they're
yeah,
like, excuse me.
yeah,
And that's the part we have to understand about those longer term impact. There's the short term,
yeah.
medium, and the longer term. When you have that vision, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, and as an educator, I see every day how, depending on the student, how they have had boundaries or not. And they have a very hard time when they grow old if they haven't had good boundaries, and they haven't had, these like
Teachings.
responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah, in sense of absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you introduced the term, can you
Mhm.
tell me what are some examples of the boundaries that you implemented in your life that ended up creating the most space for you to exist?
Learning to say no. That's the biggest one. Learning to say no. This
Absolutely.
I must admit that it's difficult for me because I like everything. So sometimes it's like, oh, let's go. Oh, yes, let's go do that. Yes, yes. But sometimes I have to breathe and I say no, or maybe, oh, I'll tell you tomorrow. And then if I sit with myself and I say, oh, is it really going to add to my life? Is
Mhm.
it worth it? Yes. And if not, even though it's a wonderful, like, I don't know, party or whatever, I would say no. If it's going to give me energy, it's going to give me joy, and it's going to be worth it for myself, my business, and or my career, then I can say yes. But if not, no. And without being guilty,
Mhm.
feeling guilty.
And
That's
the thing, it's something to me that we have to reinforce a lot more,
yeah.
because as nurturer and caretakers, we
Mhm.
we learn very early on in our journey to just say yes, yes, of course,
Yeah.
of course, of course, no problem, I'll do it, and then never think about the impact for you.
Yeah.
So in that context, when I establish what my priorities are, self-care, ensuring that there's personal growth. I'm not just going to go to a running of meetings and meetings and meetings,
Yeah.
and there's absolutely nothing from me to take from those. Why? And
Yeah.
that's the part where I think as women, older
Yeah.
women, we also want to pass those on to the younger crowd so that they don't fall into that cycle and have
Yeah.
to learn the hard way too.
Yeah, I think this is very important, especially important for women, Paula. And I want to, because that an idea came to my mind. I teach both female and male, and the other day I was discussing with a colleague is like, why don't we have like female students volunteer in many roles? And then I came to the conclusion that for a female student to volunteer, she has to be 110% sure of what she's doing. And for male students, it's just they have 10% knowledge or whatever, and then they volunteer. So this is, I mean, we need to change that from
It's that need for perfection.
Yeah.
And men don't seem to have that as intensely. But because as female, we're often raised to get that validation from the outside, to show up with a certain image. My hair, my makeup, my clothes, my thought process, the way I respond to people. So it's like everything is so crafted early on that it's hard to just say, I jump into it. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, the fear of failure for female is bad. I mean, I still have some of that because I was with my lives, Instagram lives, and I struggle. But I need to overcome it because I want to be a role model because there's only one way to educate, is being a model. I mean, there's no, it's the example, leading by example. That's the only way. There's no, okay, do this, and then I do the opposite, because they are going to do the opposite.
Not authentic.
What they see.
That's it.
So I think this is very important for us women to stand strong, to empower ourselves, to look after one another, to do things. That's thank you, Paula, because what you're doing is wonderful. This is a very wonderful space for other women to get to know one another and get to see other models and to see the importance of empowering ourselves, and setting boundaries is
it's huge. And I thank you for that. But I also want to say there's value in understanding that it's not just me. There's value in understanding that there's my struggles are actually things that other people are living through. Because sometimes in your everyday environment, your environment itself makes you feel like something's wrong with you. And then you speak or you hear other women and you realize, so I wasn't crazy. I wasn't, and you realize, okay, so what I was feeling, it validates not only your feelings, but also your ability to think forward. So for me, my whole perspective is about leaving a legacy where women get to the best version of themselves sooner rather than later. You don't want to find out on your deathbed, I should have. No regrets. You want to live that life and feel like, oh, I did even more than I expected I could.
Yeah, that's a good. There's a saying like better. I don't remember very well, but it's like better be sorry than permission. Asking for permission.
No, better to say sorry than ask for permission.
For permission. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, trust me, I was one of those children where I had to say sorry often. I didn't realize I had to ask for a permission. I used it in the corporate sector as well, because it's just like, we're adults. There's certain things, do we really have to go for permission for every single details? Anyway, I see the time is moving forward, and I want to ask, what would be one key message that you want to leave with our listeners?
I would like to leave you with a quote by Aldous Huxley from Brave New World, that he says that there is only one corner on this universe that you can control, or you can do something about, you can improve, and that corner is yourself. So that's something because that's the only thing.
That quote is from where? From who?
Aldous. I'm going to write it down in the chat.
Okay, this is wonderful. I love that. It's a different way of thinking about it.
Yeah, and that's I'm going to write the quote down. There is only so you can pass it.
Yes,
I
it will.
really like that because we tend to change everything when something in our lives is not working. We tend to look outside, and I think if we look inside, then it's going to be much better. You're going to be much better off, because that's the only thing you can do. You can, ask yourself, what is it in me that I don't like about this situation? How can I do better? What can I do? And instead of what can he do, because that you cannot do anything. I mean, you cannot change the other
You have to
person.
change, and this is I love the quote. It's the first time that I've heard it, so
Mhm.
for me, it's even more of that reflection. But it's this you say, uh, you have to be in your own quarter, in your
Yeah,
own corner, in order to become that best person you can be.
yeah.
And unfortunately, oftentimes this is the portion where we keep trying to be
Or
somebody
we,
else's.
yeah,
We keep
or we
trying to
ignore.
take care of or fix people on the
Yeah,
outside, but
yeah.
this is the only thing I have control over. This is
Yeah,
the me.
and especially the inside is easier to fix than the outside.
Oh
And
yeah.
I do a wonderful exercise on leadership, and I in my classroom with my students to make the best leader, and
Mhm.
we come up with the traits of the good leader, and it's amazing because all of the traits are from the emotional intelligence. Nobody says it's like taller, nicer, or prettier, or more handsome. I mean, nobody cares. And I do it because I want them to realize that people are
Acknowledge.
going to acknowledge how you are, not in the inside, not from the outside. Nobody's going to care. And everybody's going to remember how, the impact is. I love a
That you've
quote
created.
from Maya Angelou. It's like, people will forget what you say, people will forget what you do, but people will not forget how
How
you
you
make
treat
them
them.
feel.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. Another quote for the audience.
Yeah,
I love quotes.
yeah, and those are to me precious memories and precious things to remember. But the funny part is because of social media, we get the
Yeah,
sense that everything has to be done on the screen.
yeah,
Everything, all of me is what appears on that screen, but
yeah,
it's just a tiny glimpse
yeah,
of my potential.
yeah,
It's just this little pixel that disappears after a while. It
yeah,
doesn't tell who I am. And that's the
yeah,
part where we each have every single day when we wake up that
yeah,
opportunity to make an imprint that
yeah,
is actually a positive one.
yeah, to make our
And
world a better place. Yeah.
yeah, and
And we can all
yeah,
do that.
thank you, Anna, for
Thank you,
the
Paula.
reminder.
Thank you.
But before we leave,
Yeah.
how can people get in contact with you or hear about your future activities?
Okay. Well, you can see my name, Ana González Ferran, if you look in my on internet. Most of my webpage is in English. Well, in Spanish and English. But I do most of the things I do are in Spanish, but I also do things in English. So if they want to contact me, feel happy to just through the email, or I'll be happy to help you in whatever you need. So.
Thank you. It has been a wonderful conversation.
Oh,
I feel blessed. I feel blessed for
it,
the energy you brought, but also those positive messaging, because I know there are women out there who have special need kids
yeah,
and they think they're not doing a good job. Or they
yeah,
think, or they've been told that, why are you asking him to do this when
yeah,
you should do it for themselves? And to me, those are words of validation for all of these women. This is where, even if everything is not perfect, you can still help lifting someone else
yeah.
to a greater moment for themselves. And for that, I just say thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. And I hope your audience enjoys this conversation, and whatever they need, I'm here for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.